Hey, what's up, fam? It's Chappell, host of the Recap Kickback podcast, here for another exit interview from the We Know Reality TV podcast coverage of Fox's new reality show, The Snake. With me, my lovely co-host Jenny Autumn, and our most recently eliminated contestant from The Snake, McLean. McLean, how are you?
I'm good. Obviously a little sad this week, but I'm really happy with how far I went. So I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Yes, we're excited to talk to you as well, McLean, in this most recently eliminated episode where you were eliminated by the two-headed snake of Jordan and Brett. Were you expecting to go here, or what did you think was going to happen to save you this round?
You know, Towards the beginning of the ceremony, I kind of had a feeling I was going home. God love her. Jordan is very hard-headed. And I was trying to get through to her. I'm like, Frankie and Alyssa don't have your back. They do not have your back. They're not going to pick you. I've been telling her that the whole show, and she wasn't listening to me. And I was right. And you kind of see that. And once I knew I couldn't crack her, I knew that I was probably on the chopping block, just knowing that Brett and I had a good relationship, but Brett cares about Brett, and that's about it. So just based on numbers and gameplay, I was like, I'm probably going home today.
Um, McLean, I'd like to know a little bit more about your relationship with Derek because Derek was someone that you had kind of an alliance. It was like you, Derek, and Cody early in the game, and then obviously when he kind of let you fall to the bottom two that one week, it seemed like you were like, I don't think I can trust this guy going forward. But then you kind of find yourself in like an alliance, somewhat with like Jack and Brett. What was your relationship like with Derek throughout this game after that point?
Yeah, you know what? Derek actually was quite an honest player watching the episode and seeing everything. He was a great player and he really wasn't lying. The thing that he didn't do was he never verbalized his thought process when he needed to. So I'm someone that if you're gonna put me in the bottom, great, but let me know that, right? And that's where my trust started to falter is he knew that that was a possibility. He knew that he could save us both by sending me to the bottom again, saving Jacob, but didn't tell me that. So in my head, he lied to me, right? He used me to get ahead. He wanted to save Jacob. I don't know what's going on. Everyone's seeing the confessionals, but we're not. We don't know what anyone's doing, what anyone's thinking. And I just didn't trust him. And from there, he verbalized to me that he's like learning and he's trying to be better. And he worked literally every day to earn my trust back. And he kept doing things. He made me a plate of dinner to apologize. He kept trying. And as I got closer with Jack and Brett and they really trusted Derek's gameplay, I started to kind of let him in again. And then he wound up picking me one of the ceremonies. I forget which week that was. I never fully 100% trusted him just because he was so good at the game and reading people, but he was honest and he kind of won my trust back slowly throughout the game.
What was your perspective of the war against your alliance and Pastor Jacob? Because very early on, it just seemed like the bros couldn't get with the pastor, but we didn't really get a lot of your perspective on that. What did you think about Pastor Jacob in the game? And since you've been watching it at home,
Yeah, they did air a lot of like the things I had to say about it. Um, what was hard is that I think a lot of the lies and manipulation and tactics that Catherine was using got pinned on Pastor Jacob. And that's what was really, really hard
hmm,
because everyone's thinking all these twists and turns are his fault because Catherine was really good at the game and good at playing people and twisting words and twisting stories. So from my perspective, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, like she's doing that, he's not. And I couldn't really figure out what was going on. I thought he seemed truthfully just like a nice man. He kind of kept to himself. He always prayed over everyone. He didn't fit in the group the same way that everyone else did. And I think that was just an unfair way for people to push him out. Watching back now, he was probably the nicest one there. Did him as like this big villain. And I sent him this long message. I'm like, I am so sorry. You did nothing wrong. I'm a horrible person. Um,
no,
but he just got blamed for Catherine, I think, is what happened.
no, there were much worse people in that house than you. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
God.
McLean, obviously, we know so much of your storyline in the show is about your relationship with Jack, and which can be unfortunate because everything that you do is kind of tied to him. But I'd like to know a little bit more about how you feel about that relationship and how it either helped or harmed your game because the first couple weeks of the game, you found yourself in maybe a bad position, and then around the time that you start getting close with Jack, that's when you stop being like in the bottom of the snake pit. So I'd like to hear you like outline what was the help and what was the harm when it came to your game and how linked you were to Jack.
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I pulled myself out of the snake pit. I was in the bottom twice, and the next week I was the snake, so that was to the help of myself and not anyone
Yeah.
else. But
Real.
his
Yeah.
my
Speak on
relationship,
it.
I'm just saying,
No, I was like,
We have
you
been
say it.
ranting. We have been ranting on our
Yeah.
podcast. Like, why won't they ask? They're not asking Jack the same questions they're asking McClain about this
oh,
relationship. They're
Show
not
her
giving us
some
McClain
respect.
content. Put some respect
they
on it.
don't show they
Yeah.
don't show any of my gameplay, any of my strategy, anything really. The whole show, and I think that's mostly because there's so much content to get out there, and they have to pick and choose. But that was frustrating as a viewer because I face that a lot in life is people think not as smart as I am. They don't know that I have a couple college degrees. They don't know that I have a corporate job. People just underestimate me. So it's been frustrating to see that on TV as well. But, I'll keep fighting. But long story short, my relationship with Jack, all it did was help my game. Everyone kept saying it over and over, like relationships make it worse. Like showmances are bad. Nah, nah, nah. Everyone said it to me the whole time. And I was like, shut up. He's cute. And it honestly, it didn't harm either of us. Like we talked about it a lot because every night we had to sleep with mics on since we like slept in the same bed, and we would strategize at night and we would talk about like who we trusted, who we didn't, and it would almost like calm us down so that the next day we went in and our anxiety was a lot lower. We kind of had a game plan. It just made us stronger. And we talked about what would happen if people had to choose between us. Like we just aired everything out so that we made each other better. And I kind of loved that people thought it was going to take us down. I was like, whatever. I'm like, I'm a good player. He's a good player. It's nothing bad's going to come of this unless we let it. And we already had that conversation. So, I mean, I made it to week 9. He makes it to the finale. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah,
Honestly,
very good.
I really thought that there was a situation where, if they were going to take a shot at you, they were going to take out Jack, and that would
Instead
have
of
been
you.
actually incredible for your game to, at a certain point, as long as it wasn't too early. If that had happened, because I think some of us thought that when Devonte went, that Jack was perhaps in some real danger there. In the scenario where Jack leaves before you, what was your game plan? Like, do you have, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the other close relationships you had in the game because they got so overshadowed in the edit, with Jack?
Yeah, it's crazy because like none of my packs really got shown at all. I was actually quite close with Cowboy Cody and Derek in the beginning. They showed that a little, but we were like strong, strong. But later down the line, if it weren't Jack, like let's say he did potentially go home, I was really close with Brett. And Jack and Brett had a conversation where he was like, if I go, like you have to protect McClain, like you have to help her, you have to get her through this. So I was like latched on to Brett too. And at the same time, Jordan and I made a pact with each other day one. We're like, we don't have to be on the same team, but we're not going to lie to each other. So like if shit starts to hit the fan, like let's talk and let's figure this out. And we kept that the whole game. So her and I were really strong. The problem is as things got further, she kind of fell into the Frankie and Alyssa trap and couldn't get out of that. But I had honestly a decent pact with Derek. I had a pact with Amanda. Like I really was kind of working with everyone and in a similar way to how Amanda was. It was just a different type of strategy. And they don't
Mhm.
really show that. Like I wanted to go in there and be the girl who doesn't have a strategy, right? The nice girl. America's sweetheart is what the whole house called me because you're not gonna fear me if I'm running around like la 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 la. I like Jack. Like they don't think that I'm good at anything, so they're not gonna want to send me home. And it worked. I didn't lie about anything. And I made it further than everyone else who was lying and manipulating just by being nice to people. No, I don't know.
I said that your game was what I think Catherine was trying to emulate,
Mhm.
like,
She was a
but
good
not
player, though.
naturally.
Yeah.
Catherine was a good player. I think it just got a lot of the lies got twisted and people were catching on to it. But I respected the heck out of how she
Yeah.
played this game. It was very, very smart.
Yeah. What is the status of you and Jack, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, well, we're still dating. When the
Ooh.
show ended, like immediately he got my number. I actually got his number off of like a post-it and we found each other and he bought me a plane ticket to Austin and I
Okay.
flew out there. Like I got home. I was home from Argentina for 2 days, flew to Austin and spent like 5 days with him so we could figure everything out. I met his parents. We've been going back and forth. He's been here. We've been on trips. We've done pretty much everything. It's really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we did see you bonding with Amanda a little bit. She will get eliminated at the same exact time with you. But what was your relationship with Amanda? Because it felt like you appreciated her opening up. But to
Yeah.
us, Amanda always came off as somebody who was very guarded with maybe like the personal connections and were outwardly strategic for TV. Was that how you experienced her as well?
Yeah, I never 100% trusted her as a player, but I respected her as a person, if that makes sense. Because like she's a lawyer and she was smart and she knew how to work everyone in that house. So I always kind of was like, I don't know if she actually is on my side or if she's going against me. But as a human, when she would open up to me, regardless of if that was a strategic move, like that was honest and that was hard to do. And I always respect when women are willing to open up like that. So I always just like liked her as a person. And you know how you can feel someone's heart regardless of what they're showing? Like I knew that she was good.
Mhm.
And then when the show wrapped, we talk literally every single day now. We voice memo back and forth. We're very similar people in real life. And something that didn't air. So she spoke a bit about the trafficking incident that happened to her when she was younger. But when we were both in the snake pit, when we gave our speeches, they didn't air most of what happened. The reason I needed the money is I was sexually assaulted at work and I filed a complaint and I was fired. And I found out about the show about a week later. And it was just like a divine timing thing where I was like, I'm screwed. Like I have 3 jobs. I need my corporate career. Like maybe this is how I do it. Maybe this is how I can, start the lawsuit. And that was my whole reasoning for going, and hers was for her family, and she works with a trafficking organization. So we had like these very raw speeches and emotions coming out, and this is nothing against Alyssa, truthfully, but her speech was, she's like, I don't have to have a reason to need the money. I just like to shop and get my nails done, and that doesn't mean I'm not worthy. And I'm like, I never said you weren't worthy or a good player, but I think our reasoning is a little bit more like dire and honest than needing to shop. And that's when her and I looked at each other and we were like, okay, like, it's you and I. And then when we got sent home together, it kind of bonded us because we knew we left our hearts out there. We did everything we could. But it built a really good friendship. And I try to take look at the silver lining of the whole thing. I got a very good friendship out of this with her. So I'm grateful for that. But it was definitely tough.
Yeah, well, we're very sorry to hear that, of course, and we're happy that you got some positive vibes out of this situation for sure.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed your speech that they show on the show. They didn't get into all of that, but you talking about how, Brett's thing is, I want to take the stronger competitors to the end, and you saying like, I'm a professional athlete. Who's stronger than me? I was like, she's making points. So I really thought that you were really fighting for yourself in that moment, and I was happy to see you show up in that, like just like that on the show.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
was a big thing is I wanted people to see that. Like statistically, it is harder to become a cheerleader than it is to make the football roster because
Hmm.
there's fewer spots and there are fewer teams. And I compete against 500 girls for one spot every single year. And it's tough. We are good at what we do. And I don't think we get enough credit for that. So I was like, come on, like pick me. He didn't listen, but whatever.
Well, it seemed like that's what he wanted, and I want to know how much you feel like the fact that there was the double-headed snake and also 2 people being eliminated that ultimately is the reason you go out here because you've been outlining, you had pretty good relationships with everyone. You probably weren't the top of the list of targets for anyone here, but because Jordan and Brett are, end up in the situation where they have competing interests and then they have to prioritize other people, you kind of just end up at the bottom here. Do you feel like there were a lot of other scenarios with other people becoming the snake that you were guaranteed to be fine?
I do think so because the double-headed snake, it's just hard. You have 2 conflicting viewpoints. You have to figure out who you want to send home, and on top of that, it's a double elimination. So the last time it was a double-headed snake, every time it's a little different, right? And when this happened, Jordan is very strong-willed. She's very sure of herself, and even though I was trying to tell her like Frankie and Alyssa do not have your back, she wouldn't listen. And when they got picked or when they won and they're the double-headed snake in my head, I'm like, Jordan's not going to listen to anything we have to say. She sets her mind, she doesn't listen. So I kind of knew that was my fate. And I think about it often. I'm like, if anyone else was up there, or if it was one person, if it was just Brett, I would not have gone home. If it was
Hmm.
just Jordan, I would not have gone home. But it was this conflict. And it was these weird packs that then had to form because the numbers got all funky that it really just it knocked me to the bottom, and I knew it like immediately. I was like, I don't think I'm going to climb out of this one. And I think Brett also saw an opportunity to break up Jack and I because Jack's a good competitor, and at the end of the day, Brett has to compete against him too.
Mhm.
But, they did what they had to do.
So we have to talk about the challenge.
Mhm.
This shock collar, this was
Uh,
crazy. This was crazy. So
yeah.
what was it in particular that really unnerved you about the challenge? Because we could tell you hated this.
I hated it so much. And you would think that the other ones would bother me. I'm quite adventurous. Like, I'll eat anything. I'll dump bugs on my head. I'll jump off of stuff. I don't care. I'm willing to try anything. But I have a very hard time inflicting pain on anyone, anything. I can't squish bugs. I'm like a big animal rescue advocate. Like, I that is just against my nature. And I was like, you can shock me all you want. Like, do I want it? No, but I can't hurt someone else. Like it's just, I can't do it. And on top of that, I studied psychology in college, and there was a study done very similar to this, and I knew it the second I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, they're replicating the study. And it was exactly the same. And that kind of freaked me out because it's very eerie. It's dead silent out there. You're blindfolded. You're putting this like dog collar on. It's very eerie. And you hear nothing besides zaps and screams. And it like rattled me to my bones. And you're also exhausted, and we're not eating, and I'm emotional. You don't know what time it is. You haven't spoken to anyone in a month. Like it's just a lot. And it broke me. And by God's will, of course, who's the first name that gets picked is me. That is comical. The first person who gets picked is me. I was like, are you shitting me right now? Like me?
You manifested it. You didn't want to be in the game. You would like take me out.
It was honestly a blessing. Like, I wouldn't mind being shocked, but I don't want to have to keep picking people to zap. So I was like, Derek's gonna know it's me because I'm sobbing. I'm like, that's fine. Just get me out of the damn game. I don't care. At least
Now,
I
it
tried.
Now, if Derek had gotten it wrong, and so obviously, this is a bad situation for you. You have to go first. Obviously very emotional. It's obvious to him that it was you. But if he had been wrong and you make it out of that first one, and maybe you don't have to shock anyone else because of they're going to go to other people, do you feel like you maybe had the because obviously it still is upsetting to you even on the sidelines listening to other people respond to being shocked as well. Like I totally get the empathy of it being like not only even when you're not inflicting it, it hurts to witness. Do you feel like you could have maybe made it through and maybe, been like Jordan where you don't even get shocked and you
Yeah.
get through that first little bit?
I do think I could have given just like getting used to it after you hear it so many times. You're like, oh, okay, I can kind of handle this. Like, let's do another one. I think I probably could have gotten through it. I think I would have had a reaction regardless. And I think people would have probably kept thinking it was me, and I could have kind of gotten by in that way looking back.
Right.
Um, it coulda, shoulda, woulda. It was, I think a lot of things could have gone better and differently. It was just. I still think about it. I still think about hearing the screams because we didn't get a warning before the zap either. No one did. So you're just standing there, and sometimes you're waiting. You're like, I wonder when someone's gonna get zapped, and then you're just like, duh, and you're like, "Ah." Like it was just like we all of us got home that night, and we were like,
Yeah,
"Ah."
how much time would elapse when like Jim's doing the circles? Because it was very much like I don't know if you've ever watched The Traitors, but like when the tapping on the shoulder, it's like sometimes he does like multiple circles. So like how much time is elapsing before you even know who's
Yeah.
going?
It was, I mean, obviously time felt distorted because you're like counting
In
every
it.
Yeah.
beat,
Yeah.
right? But he would do laps every time so that it would kind of throw us off for that reason, right? It's that anticipatory, I don't know when it's coming, I don't know who got tapped, because then your anxiety levels are a lot higher. So I think that was a psychological aspect that they added on purpose. But it was a long time between each tap, which made it worse because you're just sitting there like waiting. You're like, who's gonna scream? Oh, terrible. Never, ever,
My
ever want to do that again. No.
my
Oh,
muscles are tensing just imagining it.
It was not fun. I can laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
what if of any of the other challenges did you enjoy the most or would you be happy to do again?
I loved the fish chum challenge.
What?
I loved it.
McLean, are you okay?
Are you
I,
okay?
that was my favorite one. And I said it, and again, they didn't air it. Like I'm
Did
pretty
you throw
athletic.
up?
I did right when I got in. I got it out.
McClain.
I wanted to because I was like, if you get in there, you yak it out, and then you hit the ground running. I was like, oh, we get it out of your system, right? So I got in there, I smelt it, and I was like, bleh, threw up, and then I was like, dove right in. I'm like, let's go. Like it was
The old puke and rally.
exactly. It was kind of like a physical challenge. It was exhausting because it was up and down, swimming. It was very, very physical, and that's something I'm good at. So I was like outrunning a lot of people, regardless of the fact that they showed that it looked like I was failing. I was actually like one of the front runners of that challenge. And I was having a great time. I loved it. I love physical stuff, and I love that it was kind of gross. Like it was just cool to do. And you felt like you were actively doing something. Like all the other challenges, it was a little bit out of your hands at times. And this one, you felt like you had control over for the most part until they put in that spinning bucket of doom or whatever. But I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
No thanks.
So yeah. Listen, I love that you loved it. So obviously you like testing yourself. Like, this seems to have turned out to be a good experience on the whole for you. So is this something that you would ever see yourself doing again, like another type of show, especially if there's more opportunities to like test yourself and challenge yourself like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I really do want to do something similar to this in some way, especially if it's active based. Because I think, like I said, I get underestimated a lot, and I think a lot of my edit didn't really show all my strategies and everything I was doing. And I'm a lot tougher and stronger than people give me credit for. But I think I use that to my advantage, and I got pretty far. And I want to go on another show and show them, like, you probably think I'm the girly girl, nice, good girl, America's sweetheart. Like, I'm going to beat all of you. And I want to be able to have a chance to do that again. Especially athletic stuff, because I can usually outrun most men, and I think that's fun.
Are you familiar with the show The Challenge on MTV?
I am. I know people keep asking me about that.
I feel like it's got your energy, McClain. I feel like that's where you can really show up and show out.
Yeah.
I know. I'm thinking about everything. I really want to do another one for sure.
Okay. And where can people follow you on social media and keep up with what you have going on in the meantime until you pop back up on our TV screens?
Yeah. I have the same handle and everything. I'm just McLean_17. TikTok, Instagram, I'm on there all the time. That's all I do is yip yap about the show and cheerleading and everything. But yeah, keep following me, follow along. Hopefully I'll get on another show soon. But I'm excited.
All right. We're excited too. Is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with before you go?
Don't underestimate the girly girls. Don't
Hell
underestimate us. We're tough and we're strong and we can do anything else.
Amen. Okay. Well, thank you so much, McClain. Everyone, that was McClain, the most recently eliminated contestant from The Snake. To keep up with more of our coverage of reality TV shows, please subscribe to the We Know Reality TV podcast feed on WeKnowRealityTV.com. Peace.
Thank you.
This is RHAP. We Know Reality TV.